Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please be sure to subscribe to the FBB Forum YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning IFBB Pro women's physique competitor and 2024 Olympian Natalie Rae Wolfe to the podcast. Natalie has been competing in bodybuilding for 19 years and recently won the Pittsburgh Pro show to earn her first Olympia qualification. She also placed second earlier this year at the St. Louis Pro. Stay tuned to find out more about this amazing muscle lady. And welcome, Natalie. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. I think I mentioned before, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and I was really proud of you to get the Olympia qualification. I bet it's thrilling for you.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's just that much sweeter because it took me so long than me being like this right out of the, you know, bag winner, like winning my debut, I think I
Sure.
just appreciate it a lot more because it took me this long to do it. So it's been
Yeah,
cool.
no, I totally understand that. No, it's a big accomplishment. I think it's just wonderful for you. And I bet your friends and family are really thrilled for you
Oh
too.
my gosh, yes, yeah. Because they've been here for, most of them have been seeing me start since the beginning, So for them to see like from what they thought was just a phase, like turn into like just a passion and then me finally like reach a dream, it's been cool. Yeah. Been really
That's really
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, so I want to ask you a few questions about how you got started in bodybuilding. And I was wondering if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started competing.
So no, really in grammar school, I just played volleyball and softball. It wasn't like I was this great athlete. Enter high school, I swam and played water polo. My
Mm,
sister was on the swim team, so like that's kind of why I joined it because we went to school together, and then I just drove with her. So I was like, yeah, I might as well join the swim team too. So I swam and played water polo in high school, and then I went to college and didn't do anything. I partied every
aha.
day, every day. So I didn't find the gym till I was about like I ended up coming home. My sister and I lived together in our own apartment. She was like more of a runner, but she did these workout videos at home all the time. And I was just in this phase of like just going out, probably 5 out of 7 days a week, like literally going out, staying out all night. I mean, I had a regular job and stuff, but like I just went out a lot. I drank a lot.
Yeah.
And uh, she had a subscription to Oxygen magazine. So
Oh,
one
yeah.
day I picked that up and I was like obsessed with how these women looked in the magazine. It was like
Yeah.
no other magazine had models that looked like that. It was like they were always skinny, like more skinny than muscle, So I
Yeah.
knew like I know my body. Like I've always had more I've never been a super skinny girl. I've always had more of an athletic build my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, so I that's what got me into working out in the beginning. Like it's like I want to look like those girls. But in the Oxygen magazine, they actually did contest coverage in the back every month. And that's how I was like started to get interest into competing. What I
Okay.
did is we had a 3 bedroom apartment and I made one of our bedrooms into a workout room. And that's literally that's where I worked out for my very first show. I
Really?
probably shouldn't have competed in my very first show, but I did. My goal was not to place last, and there was 4 girls, and I took third. So I was hooked
Wow.
ever since. And
That's
I owe it to
awesome.
her. If she would have never had that subscription, I don't know if I would ever even got into it. It's crazy,
I
crazy.
remember Oxygen magazine. That was a good magazine too.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
Jenny Lynn, Valerie Wagman, just there's so many like Adele was like in there too, like I mean just all these girls and like the only way I found out about competing in Illinois is obviously, social media wasn't around, but the Muscle Mayhem was a forum that you could go on a while back. And there's still so many people that I talk to now from Muscle Mayhem. It's crazy. There was a lot of people in the industry on Muscle Mayhem, that
Really?
forum, but that's how I ended up finding people and finding out about shows in Illinois. And then I just picked one. I ended up going to my very first show. It was Junior Nationals of 2005. That was in June in Rosemont. I went by myself. I only told my mom and a couple of my friends. I said, I'm going to watch the show because I think I'm going to be interested. Well, I sat behind like Mike Davies and his whole crew because Mike Davies is a huge trainer back then. Like all his girls were winning. Barely Wagaman won. And I came home and I was like, I'm doing this. Like I want to be on that stage. And it was
Wow.
crazy because that was then I did my first show in December 2005, and then 2006 I did a couple of shows in Illinois, and I actually qualified to do junior nationals in 2006. I did it, and I took like, but I did not place, which is what I needed though to realize like you need to hire somebody because you don't even know what you're doing. I did everything on my own at that point, you know, and
Sure.
losing that bad, you know, not placing kind of was the kick in the butt to be like, okay, now you're very interested in this, but now you got to hire somebody because you don't know
Yeah,
what you're doing, you know. So
sure.
that's how that happened. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
No, that's really cool. Um, in terms of, yeah, I think Junior Nationals is now in Chattanooga, but they moved it. It
yeah,
used to be in
yeah,
Chicago.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Up
know that,
until like I think COVID, around COVID is when they moved it.
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always been a great show. And they didn't always used to issue pro cards there, I don't think, but it was a way to kind of get, get to the nationals and that kind of thing. So,
Right. And they always, well, and I had started out in figure anyways, and then I moved out to
oh,
bodybuilding, and I went from figure to body, but I started bodybuilding in 2009. And when I did, I won both of my regional shows that I did in 2009. And my husband was like, you know what, we're not even going to do a junior show because they don't offer pro cards for female bodybuilding. We're going straight to USA's because it was a pro qualifier.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did USA's in 2010 and took second. I came this close.
Wow.
Um, in 2010 then. So yeah, because he took over my diet in 2008. I met my husband in 2007, and then we started dating in 2008, and he took over my diet, and he's been my coach ever since.
Oh, really?
So
Oh, that's very
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I remember that back in the day, with the old junior nationals, and it's a lot different back then. There
Oh
definitely
yeah.
fewer pro cards given out and fewer
Oh,
divisions because you kind of predated the physique division to begin with, I guess, didn't you?
right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, and then when Physique came out, that's when he basically is the one that said it. He was like, "This is your division. You're going to turn. This is the division you'll turn pro." And sure
Yeah,
enough, I did one local show to qualify, and then I did junior nationals 2 weeks later, and I won it. So
nice.
yeah, yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, your physique is definitely suited well for women's physique, I think, for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the thing is as a female bodybuilder, I always did good because my conditioning was always spot on, and that was what I was told. It was just always I need to be bigger here,
yeah,
bigger there, and it was like this never ending. There was a limit I had on myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there were things I didn't want to do to make that progress that fast.
yeah, sure.
So and I'm the one who has to live with the body that I'm in, so I didn't want to gain all this extra muscle because that's not the look I really actually wanted. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to worry about your health too. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
mhm,
And that's the thing, having him as my coach, like, that's our top priority. So,
mhm.
you know, I like that. It's nice,
That
nice
is
that I
really
can
good.
trust him. So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's good too to have as your husband and your coach. That's like a long time coach too, because a lot of the ladies kind of bounce around between coaches,
counsel.
you know?
I know what I know, and it drives us nuts. Both of us, we always say that, like, you need time. A coach needs time to learn your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
because, like, there's a lot of people that they don't win, so they jump to the next coach. They don't win a show, so they jump to another coach. It's like, what are you doing? It's not the coach's fault. you
I
know?
know. Yeah, no, and it's not the consistency I think is important, too.
hmm For
Yeah.
sure, I agree. I agree.
Now, I was curious, do you have a fitness role model or did you have one when you first started?
Just again, like no one like in general really pops out. All the top girls were always like people I wanted to look like, chasing that size or chasing that look. Like as far as like um a, the actual person, like instead of their physique, like I love Andrea, like and Sydney, like I love their and I think I just said this before we started recording. I just love how they can balance everything else that they do and remain as humble as they are, like being the top for that many years,
Mhm.
being the top person in their divisions for that many years. I just think it's
Yeah.
cool. They're really like personable, humble, always there to answer questions if I have any, and it's awesome. It really is.
They're so sweet. I did get to meet him at Triple O and they are just, yeah, very humble, very sweet, and really approachable too. So
Hmm.
yeah, and it's kind of amazing because you don't necessarily expect that as like the champs, you don't know
I
what.
know. Well, and and like you just Dre travels all so much. So does Sydney, I guess, though too. It's like, but Sid's got like all kinds of, she does her posing. She got all kinds of stuff on her plate too. It's just like amazing to see, like that they
Mhm.
can still stay on top with all that going on. It's hard. It's hard to
Yeah,
juggle. Juggle all that. So
I agree. No, definitely. Um, Now I was curious when you first did your first show, was it kind of nerve-wracking for you to get up on stage in a
oh
bikini or
my God. Yeah. So first of all, my mom and dad like did not believe that I was going to get up in front of all these people in a little itty bitty bikini. I'm a Leo and normally like I like to be the center of attention, but like I'm kind of on the cusp, so I have these cancer tendencies, and like that is why like I'm some unless I know you, I'm not like that. You know what I mean? If
yeah,
I know you and you know me, I'm like that. But if you're a stranger, I'm definitely not like that to strangers. So it was
yeah.
funny though, because I remember stepping off this stage and like my sister, my whole family was there, but my sister was the one that was like gluing my suit on my butt. And I was like, oh my God, Vanessa, my lips were shaking, like, because I was so nervous, like my I could feel my mouth shaking. She was like, Natalie, nobody was looking at your lips. Okay, you can relax. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure they couldn't see my lips shaking? I was like so nervous about it. So we still
Really?
laugh about it to this day. Yeah, because I was. And it's like this energy though. Like I feel like I get nervous still, but it's not like the same nerves. Like it's this energy that I love about being on stage,
Hmm,
It's crazy. Yeah.
that's
Because
cool.
I don't get nervous like that anymore.
Oh, you don't? No, I was
Yeah,
curious if
no, no.
you do. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have a little bit of nerves, but it's like a different kind of nerves. I don't know how to describe it, because once I get on that stage, like I think I have this permanent smile on my face, like the whole time, and it's just like I feel so alive up there. So yeah, yeah,
That's terrific. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you look really good on stage and you look like you're having fun up there. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I always do. Yeah.
Now, as we talked about, congrats on winning the Pittsburgh Pro, and that was your first pro win, is that right?
Yep, that is correct. Yeah.
And I bet that was a really thrilling moment for you. What was
Mm,
that experience like? And it just
and
congrats on your first Olympia qualification
yeah,
too, of course.
thank you, thank you. Like it was crazy because after prejudging, obviously I knew I got moved to the center. Nate wasn't able to be there because he couldn't get off of work, so he was watching the live stream. My mom was with me though.
Okay.
And of course she was like so excited, telling me that I had it. He texted me, he's like, I think we did it, Slim. He calls me Slim. That's my nickname for him. So he's like, I think we did it, Slim. You know, I just didn't, I tried to stay off of social media a lot. I got on there really quick because I didn't want to see all these things because I just didn't want to like give my hopes up either. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
came in second in St. Louis and I came in second in Chicago in 2022. And I know that feeling of like, you think that you kind of have it, but you aren't sure. And then it's just like kind of disappointing at the end, even though
Yeah.
like placing second in Chicago to Ashley was like, I felt like I won. Because that was the
Yeah.
first time I placed that high. And it was to her. It was like, I mean, look at her. She's a phenomenal athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I wasn't mad about it. It was like just that feeling of like, holy crap, I got second. Like maybe I can win a show. That's what placing second in Chicago did to me in 2022. It like gave me that hope that like you are getting better and maybe there is that slight chance that you can actually win a show. You know what I mean? Because before
Yeah.
that, I don't think I ever really believed that I could. Now
Okay.
Nate will probably tell you differently, but like he's always believed in me, probably more than I believed in myself. But I
Oh,
always say that I've been more realistic with things. But yeah, so like placing second in St. Louis was fine because the way they had us placed, I thought I was taking third. Like the way they had prejudging and where I was I thought I was
oh,
in the
based
third
on the
place spot. You
position.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the
Uh-huh.
position, I thought I was taking third.
Uh-huh.
So when I took second, I was happy. It still was just that though, like so close
Yeah.
again. You know what I mean?
I
So
know.
in Pittsburgh, when they finally called it, I didn't want to lose it on stage, but I like almost did. I was like
Yeah.
on the verge of just like breaking down and losing it, but I didn't want to do that. So I was able to hold myself together. But it was
That's
just,
awesome.
it's like I said, it's still so surreal to me. I'm still pinching myself every morning. It's crazy to me. It's
That's
awesome though.
terrific.
It's a good feeling. Yeah.
I bet it must have been thrilling for you. And fans like me have been following you for a long time, and I actually did see you compete at 2022 Chicago, and that
Yeah,
was
yeah, you did.
that was a great
I
show
think
too.
I didn't end up like I don't think I ended up like seeing you in the crowd or anything, but I knew you were there because I was seeing pictures on your Instagram or whatever, and
Yeah,
I maybe have saw you briefly or something actually there. But yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, it was such a good show. That's I'd like to get back to Chicago eventually because that is an excellent show, and
Yeah, that was another one I had planned too for this year. Omaha and Chicago were the last two that I was gonna plan on doing if I
oh
didn't
yeah,
win a show. Yeah, because Chicago's so close for me. So I
yeah,
mean, Tinley is only an hour and 45 minutes, but they moved it to Rosemont this year. So it's going to be in Rosemont this year,
oh yeah,
which
okay,
is a little bit further for us just because we got to go towards O'Hare then like that way.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's closer to the
so
airport though, which is kind of nice.
yeah, yeah, it
Mhm.
is. And maybe
Yeah.
that's why they did that. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought Tinley Park was a little isolated. It was kind of like,
I
wait,
kind of liked it though. Like everything was right there. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's
you
true.
didn't even have to leave the hotel, like because the venue and the hotel were connected. So
Yeah,
I love that about shows when you don't really need to, because everything's there, the tanning, the makeup, everything, you know?
that's true. That is
Um,
nice. Yeah.
so hopefully hopefully I want to go watch the Chicago Pro. Hopefully it's a
Yeah.
big show for us. Yeah. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
that
that far.
it'll be a good show for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I'm always kind of curious to see who's going to qualify this year and um and who's just so close to that. Because I
I
remember
know.
remember Sherry Priame got second that year at
Yeah.
Chicago and like second at Atlanta, and she just kept kind of knocking at the door that year. She didn't, but yeah, just it was tough.
She didn't end up, did she go on points that year?
No, she didn't. She was
Oh,
like a
okay.
point or two shy, I think.
Oh no.
So,
That's what happened to me though, because then I got knocked out of the point standings and I was shy of a couple points for the top
really?
three.
Oh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
had died. That's why I did Savannah to try to stay in the top three. And then I like 2 weeks before that cutoff date, I think it was after Texas, or maybe whatever show was after Texas is when I got knocked out of there. So I
Oh no.
dieted from January all the way through till that. That's why I took last year off. My body needed a break so bad. My brain needed a break. Like mentally,
Yeah.
physically, I was tapped out from 2022 because it was such a long season for me. And
Yeah.
then just that disappointing, like of being in that top three for so long, but then being knocked out. I
Hmm.
needed a break and I needed to improve in a couple areas. So like I just took the whole year off last year for
Sure.
that reason.
Yeah, I understand. That's one thing I've heard from some competitors that getting rid of the points system maybe was better for your health because you're not chasing a show, chasing points so much.
Right, but I was just talking to we were for the other interview. Like, there's a couple like in my head. Like, I maybe that's why people aren't competing too as much because now that you have to win a show, they're trying to make sure they're ready to win a show. You know what I mean? Instead of just
Yeah,
racking up points, place in top five. That could be one of the reasons. I don't know.
that could be.
I thought maybe people didn't want to do Pittsburgh because they thought Natalia was doing it again. I
Hmm.
don't know. You know what I mean? And it's like, why would you do that show if you just think she's going to win? I didn't care if she was going to do it or not. I was still doing it because it was a great show to do in 2022. I loved the show. Like, I
Yeah.
love that all the big names are there. It's so cool. It's like the venue's awesome. It was just a really good show and I loved it. So I wanted to do it again, not caring if she was there or not. But then when there was only three of us, I was like, holy crap, like, why? What is going on?
I
I don't want to
know.
see women's physique die. Like,
Hmm.
women's bodybuilding already did, and Jake Wood saved it. Like I
Yeah,
don't want to see our division go downhill because this is my home. And
I agree. I know that the Ann and Jack Titone are already talking about getting rid of the
taking
St.
it,
Louis Pro and
I
or
know.
taking women's physique out, and which is kind of a shame. But I understand too, their concern about it. So.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, you can't be mad at the promoters because here's the deal. Like, if there's not competitors showing up, why are they going to pay that sanction fee for your division if you're not getting competitors to compete? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then
Hmm.
it's like you got to find a sponsor to put up the prize money. Like, who's going to want to sponsor the show for women's physique if there ain't even people competing?
Yeah.
Like, so I totally get it. It's just
Hmm.
sucks,
Yeah.
because it's totally not the promoter's fault. It's like we as competitors just need to show up.
I know. Yeah.
And it's just crazy. But like I said, because they took away the point system too, like that could be one of the reasons too. I think what they should do is, um, say Natalia did do Pittsburgh and she won, and I came in second. I should get the qualification still because she's already qualified. If the person who
Yeah.
takes first is already qualified, give it to the person who takes second that's not qualified. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
that's what I really think should happen so that it's fair. Like, so that there are still however many shows there are, that's how many girls are in the Olympia,
Yeah.
instead of Natalia winning 4 shows and that takes away 4 spots and there's less girls at the Olympia. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
totally agree with you
to
on
me,
that.
that should be something that they think about.
I agree with you. I've noticed I've actually argued for that before. I think that's fair, and I think that's and I do think that you're probably going to get more competitors to come too, to compete. No, I
Knowing that they
totally,
have a shot, you know what I mean? Instead of
yeah,
like worrying about having to worry that you don't want to compete because already she's going to win, or somebody, a top Olympian's competing, so she's going to win. I don't know. I don't know. That's
yeah.
just my thought.
I agree with you on that, actually. I think that's a great idea. And I hope that, the Manions would consider that because I think it's a good idea. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, they're doing really good about improving things every year. I feel like,
I think so.
Tyler being as young as he is bringing in a lot of fresh ideas. I think,
Uh-huh.
um, like they're making Pittsburgh an expo next year. They're going to move it to a different venue, and it's going to be this ginormous expo and stuff. So like, that's so
Yeah,
cool. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a big show to do.
I agree. No, I think that's a great idea. And I think that'll help attract more people for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I was curious, so you're not going to compete again before the Olympia, are you? Or do you think you might?
No, yeah,
No?
I'm done. Only because I did, 30 weeks. It'll be a total of 30 weeks that I dieted up to Pittsburgh. So my body just needs a small little break before we start pushing again, for the O. I mean, I'm not planning on gaining 20 pounds or anything, but um, ooh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Did I disappear? Something happened. Something
No.
popped up on my phone. Oh, that was weird. Okay.
Oh no, I can still see it.
So yeah, like I mean, I'll stay fairly close to where I'm at.
Yeah.
Just and there are like a couple places I would like to improve, even though Sandy didn't give me the feedback to improve the places. I'd still would like to see my legs a little bigger and you know, um, maybe a little wider so my waist looks smaller.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's very cool. Um, I was curious, and you mentioned already a little bit, but in terms of women's physique division, would you ever consider moving to women's bodybuilding, or do you really like physique?
I love physique. I feel like it is my home. Like if the judges ever did tell me like I'm at the point where my body fits more in bodybuilding, sure, maybe I would give it a try. But if it's that I'd have to gain more size to be fit in women's bodybuilding, no, absolutely not, because I'm very comfortable with the amount of muscle I have now.
Yeah,
I am, I feel like any bigger, I'd be a little bit uncomfortable carrying it around. Like I told you,
yeah,
I have to live with this daily. And I know like in the past, my off seasons to put on the size got very uncomfortable for me. Like I'm at the point where I'm happy with my size right now. So I mean,
yeah,
sure, like, minus a couple areas I could still improve upon, but it's not. I'm not talking like 10 pounds of stage muscle. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, yeah.
No, I understand.
I
Uh,
love female bodybuilding, but like I think I mean I'll be 45 in July. So like I feel
really?
like yeah, I feel
Oh,
like genetically I'm at the point where my body's like there, like maybe this is my peak. I don't know. But
yeah,
yeah, I think it would just be really hard on my body to gain that much more size.
I
So
totally understand that. No, I think you're really suited to women's physique. I think you do really well there. So,
thanks. Thank you.
yeah. Um, I was just curious if there's any advice that you could provide to up and coming ladies who are seeking their pro card, because I know it takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but any tips you could provide?
Just to find a coach that you trust, you know what I mean? And let them get to know your body. Don't try to rush anything because you're just going to ruin your health along the way. Like, take it slow because do it on your terms. Um, the pro card's always going to be there. The stage is always going to be there. Like, you don't need to rush anything. You know what I mean? Also,
Mhm.
don't put yourself into debt. over this sport. I've seen
Mm,
that way too many times. I mean, I've
really?
heard of competitors like $20,000 deep in debt because of competing. That
Really?
is
Oh,
absolutely insane to
yeah,
me.
that's
Like,
terrible.
it's like racking up credit cards just to compete. Like, don't do that. It's not worth that. It is
Yeah,
for what? For what you are not going to make that money back to pay those off. You'll be paying those off for years and you'll be done competing. Like
yeah.
that's a big thing. Make sure you can afford it because it's an expensive sport. You know what I mean? And
And the
then just
prize
do it.
money's not that good either.
Oh, yeah, no, do it. I mean, just make sure you're having fun doing it. When you're not having fun, it's not worth it. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
that's good
Just be
advice,
smart.
actually.
Just be smart. Just be smart about it.
Actually,
Really.
that's the first time I've heard that on the podcast about staying out of debt or just not going crazy with your credit cards. I think that's really good advice.
I mean, back in the day, people were starting GoFundMe's to compete. It's like, go get it. Like, GoFundMe's, that's not what a GoFundMe's for, to compete, like, why is it, I'm not donating you a dollar cents just because you want to compete. Like, come on,
Uh,
like, that's crazy. And then, like, I would hear stories from girls, like, yeah, like I said, I've heard 15,000, 20,000 was another one, like, just crazy to me. And I'd be like, oh my
uh,
God, this is insane.
yeah,
Like, just to try to make it to the Olympia, get out of here. Like, that's not,
I
that's
understand.
absolutely not. Like,
Yeah,
shoot. Yeah, you know what I could do with that money? Like, man, no. You need to be able to afford it, because it's definitely not a cheap sport, but I definitely
that's
don't put
true.
yourself in debt because it's not worth it. Don't put yourself in debt 'cause it's definitely not worth it.
That's good advice. Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, I was curious, what would you say has been your favorite bodybuilding show so far? I was thinking maybe
Well,
Pittsburgh Pro.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Pittsburgh because I won. Yeah, definitely. And like I said, just the atmosphere being there is so insane because of the people that are so like there. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, come on, you had like the top all the guys, I mean, minus Rami and Hottie, you know what I
mhm.
mean? All the top 10 was probably there.
Really?
And then all the bikini chicks, like, yeah, like it's just so cool to see every top person there, like, I mean, Jake Wood was there too, but like, yeah, competitor wise, it's like all the top Olympians show up.
Wow,
They
that's
all show,
awesome.
and they're there Friday and Saturday. I mean, they guest post Saturday, but they're walking around Friday.
Oh yeah,
They're watching the show Friday. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I saw that they were guest posing. Yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. Yeah,
Yeah. So like to see them is just so cool. It's just like I said, it's just because the atmosphere of like you're surrounded by all these Olympians anyways, it's just cool. I
yeah.
mean, I mean, obviously it's because Jim Mannion promotes it, but still like, and the vendors there are pretty cool. So yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be great having it as an expo too. I think that's going to be a big deal for sure.
Oh gosh, I think it's definitely going to be a big deal. And Freddie DJs, he's an awesome DJ. So
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
it's a good show. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And
That's
it's not that
terrific.
far from me. Like we drove in 2022 too. Like I said, I drive to every show that I can. I usually don't fly. Um, and it's only like a 6 hour drive, so it's not that bad.
But what if you competed in Korea or something?
Right? Yeah. Then I obviously would have to fly. Like in 20, so I had to fly to Vegas when I did USA's in 2010,
Uh-huh.
and that was I stepped off the plane and I had like cankles. Like my ankles were like the size of my freaking calves. It was horrible. I was holding on to so much water. Like
Oh,
I was like crying. Nate was like, "Will you chill out? We'll lose this." I was so upset.
I
And then
understand.
in 2017, I did San Antonio. They don't have women's physique at San Antonio anymore, but
Okay.
that was a very cool show to do though. The venue was so cool. And the hotel was right on the Riverwalk. Like that was a really good show too. If they had San Antonio still, I think I probably would still compete there and fly because that was a good show to do too.
I
Tim
remember
Gardner
that
put
show.
that on. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good show. It had really good competitors too.
I
Yeah.
think Jen Taylor won that year in
Yeah.
2017. And
Uh-huh.
I think Michaela might have came in second. She was still in women's physique at that point.
Yeah.
I,
I remember
I
that.
think,
Yeah.
I think, I think, I think. But yeah, that was a really good show to do.
Yeah, you can't step on stage with cankles, can you?
No, definitely no. I was literally crying. I was crying. I was crying. I was crying. By the time we rented our car, like they were so blown up. I'm like, oh my God, why are my ankles the size of my calf? But I was so lean, and then like coming from here to there, that dry heat. I think I don't know what it otherwise, but I like went straight to do cardio for the next 2 days to try to get that water weight off. But yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, Now I was curious in terms of posing, do you have a posing coach or what do you do for posing?
I don't. I've always done it on my own. It's been something that like I've been complimented on in the past. I just practice a lot. Um, I do help. I it's not like I have an actual posing like, you know, it's we have Wolfpack Nutrition. It's a online and in person um contest prep, and we do regular non-competitors too. But like I'll do posing for only figure, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding. I don't touch bikini or wellness because I don't have experience with that. So
Yeah, sure.
um but yeah. So yeah, I mean I will coach posing too
Oh, you
for
do?
like
Oh,
competitors locally. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I just don't advertise it that much. I mean, locally people know that, but like I know I've never done it online, so it's always just
Really?
been in person. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. That's very cool. I was curious, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of prep for you?
Um, you know, at this point, I mean, I feel like, 19 years, I've been doing it for 19 years, and nothing's really that hard to me anymore. But um, like we start my diet so far out because I'd rather do that so that the diet is easier. My cardio's not 2 hours a day. You know what I mean? I get a
Hmm.
cheat meal, a weekly cheat meal usually. Um, Again, my husband knows my body inside and out. So it's like that this works for me. Okay. Like a cheat meal every week is not the norm, but I've been doing it for so long that he knows my body. And so that's how we do it. I'd rather start 30 weeks out and get that weekly cheat meal for so long than
Yeah,
only diet for 16 super hardcore and I end up losing muscle. You know what I mean? I'm able to hold on to as much muscle as I can by dieting longer like that, I think.
yeah,
Um,
that's a good
but like, so
idea.
it's definitely not the diet. And at this point, like, family functions or social events, that might be what I would say is the hardest thing because I try to just not, I don't do it anymore. If I don't have to go to things, I just don't because I'd rather not. You know what I mean? Like when I was
Yeah,
forced to in the past, um, or I have to force myself to go to those things, but I'd rather just like turn down invites to things because I'm at that point where I'm like, I just would rather not, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because it's either
sure.
I'm low energy, I don't want to sit there and bring my food or have to, traveling when I'm dieting sucks.
Yeah, I
But there's
understand.
not one thing that like sticks out that's my least favorite because at this
Sure,
point, I just think I've been doing it for so long. I can handle the diet, the cardio, it's whatever. Um, you know, but yeah, there's not one thing that really sticks out that I absolutely would say that I hate, you
sure.
know?
I understand. No, that's cool though. I think that's great. And um yeah, and yeah, you it's just your lifestyle now, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so like in the beginning, I think I would have said the sacrifices that you do have to like, from social events or family events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, because now I just, tend to turn invitations down instead of
Yeah.
actually like going to them. But people know now too, you know what I mean? They know that this is my
Yeah.
life and they understand. So, but yeah.
Sure. I definitely understand. Um I always thought your conditioning was really amazing, and I was just wondering if, and that might be because of the long diet and the long
Yeah,
prep, but
yeah,
how do
yeah,
you achieve that kind of level of conditioning? So I think it's really impressive.
yeah. That's all Nate. That's his, you know, uh, master mind there. He just knows my body. He's got that eye. I don't know, he writes the plan, I follow it. It is what it is,
That's
you know.
great.
Yeah, it might be the dieting longer though, because we've always done super like it used to be 22 weeks, and then 21, 22 weeks we would start out, but the past 2 years we just started out a little like 26 weeks. But this year we started out even earlier because, like I said, last year, since I was mentally and physically tapped out from 2022, I did gain a little bit more fat than I normally do. But I
Mm,
didn't care. I didn't care because I was enjoying myself and my life and
yeah.
family and friends, and I know what I'm capable of. So I like kind of wasn't obsessed with that. You know what I mean? Like when we went to go start prep, he was like, we should probably start a little bit sooner because I was, oh, you know, I had a little bit more fat on me than norm. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Let's start whenever. Like
Sure.
30 weeks, 28 weeks, whatever you want. Just tell me when we got to start. I'll start, you know? So, but yeah.
I think, well, that so many ladies I met and, you know, taking a year off and then they win the next year, you know, I think that year off is very valuable, I think. And
It really is if you're strategically taking it off for specific reasons, you know, like so my training is still intense. Like my training will always be intense because this is what I love to do. I love to train. This is why I fell in love with this sport. You know, like my training is what I will always continue to do.
okay.
And that's, you know, some people are always like, oh, are you training again? The training never stops. You know, I don't think for any of us it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I did purposely try to gain size in specific areas. You know, I was still focusing my training on that. It's just my diet wasn't as structured as it usually is.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was enjoying my life. So,
Yeah. I think that's
but
good.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
mentally needed that break, you know. But I think
Exactly.
it did. I
Yeah.
think it did help. I think it did help taking the whole year off and then jumping into a long prep like we did and start the early shows. So
Yeah.
it
That's
definitely
good.
helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, uh, Now I know you live in Michigan. Where exactly do you live in Michigan?
South Haven, and that's where our gym is. It's a small town, Southwest Michigan. We're right on the lake.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think like St. Joe, Benton Harbor is 20 minutes south. And then north is like Holland. I don't know if people have ever heard of those towns or not, but 25 minutes north is Holland. But yeah, it's a very small town, less than 4,000 people, very touristy town. So in the summers, there's people from like all over that come in, and it's so cool to meet all these new people that come to the gym. I love it. I love summers here because
That's
I'm
great.
from Chicago, and I've never thought I was that person that was like, I'm never leaving Chicago because I was like this. I went out all the time. I loved that kind of life. The older I got, the more I got into this. I'm like, I got to get the heck out of this city because
Yeah.
it's horrible. It's driving me nuts. And now when I go back, I get anxiety just getting on the expressway. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my
Oh
God. How did
yeah.
I get? I used to be like the best driver in traffic. You know, I'd have my whole mile mapped out, like all the way around. And now I get on the expressway. I'm like, oh my God, get me out of this city right now. I can't.
Yeah. Especially being in a small town like that too. That's
And then like it's so funny because in this town, everybody used to call me a FIP, a FIP, like that's what they're called FIPs. And I would be like, why do people keep calling me FIPs? They'd be like effing Illinois people because they can't
oh
stand the Illinois people here
uh,
when I first moved here. I'm like, oh my God. And now I get it because when they come in, the town is it's super crowded around here in the summers. But it's like to me, I don't really mind it. But it kind of like the longer I've lived here, the more sometimes I'm like, they don't know how to drive here.
yeah.
Like
I
these tips.
I imagine you probably get a lot of snowbirds up there because it's so freaking hot down here in Florida, you know, that they
That's where
go
they
back.
go. All of our snowbirds are from Florida. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
yeah. It
yeah.
is. It's so hot here right now, and definitely not vacation time here right now. It's just too hot.
No, and
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that the Olympia is in Vegas this year and not because Florida, the humidity, I just can't. For here, I wouldn't be able to handle it. So yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's well, I'm in Tampa, so it's better to be in Orlando, in my opinion. But yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, because it's so close, I know. But it's just like just it being the 60th year, it's in Vegas where it's like
Yeah.
usually. I mean, they didn't start having it in Orlando right till COVID, and then they started flip flopping, right? I think
Yeah, that's
right.
true. You're right.
COVID kind of
Yeah,
moved in, and then they started. So it's always been in Vegas, really, for the most part. So it's just cool for it to be the 60th year back in Vegas. Like
that's
it's just
true.
you know like a big to do about it because I think they're doing like that documentary on it now.
I
Did you see
know.
that? Yeah, which
Yeah.
is so cool. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's like if there were a year for me to win, this is like the year.
I
Which is
agree.
crazy.
I do hope that they flip flop it again, though, back to Orlando. We'll have to see.
They probably will, though. I think that they will. I think they'll keep
Yeah,
doing that. I think they would. I don't know. Maybe not, but I'm assuming that they're still going to do that because I haven't heard otherwise. But
I think that's great. Yeah, I think it'd be nice. Um, Now your gym in South Haven is called Strength Haven, is that right?
that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. And I was curious, how long have you and Nate had the gym?
So I was it used to be an Anytime Fitness, and I was the trainer at the gym for 6 years before we bought it. But COVID, kind of, he wanted it off his hands after COVID because
Mm,
obviously he still had to pay out so much money with it not being able to be open.
yeah.
Um, so myself and my husband and actually another couple came in with us and bought it. So we bought it in October of 2020.
Okay. Oh, very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah. And we were very successful straight out of the right off the gate. It's been amazing.
that's
It's been
great.
amazing. The community support and everything. It's just I'm very grateful because I was very scared to take that leap because
Yeah.
I told him, listen, if we get shut down again, if they shut us down, we'll go bankrupt. Like
Yeah. Mm,
there's there's no question.
hmm.
We're not gonna be able to afford that. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
he works at a nuclear plant that's like in another town over. And that's what he's been doing forever. But it's like that still isn't like we wouldn't have any regular money. We would have been that would have been paying for the money that we're losing on this, if we would have gotten shut down. Um, and he was like, no, we're taking the risk. I don't care what you think. We're taking the risk. I was like,
Okay.
okay. And I'm
Wow.
so glad he pushed me through that because I was so scared to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Even though I
understand.
wanted to so bad, it was just that timing was so weird. Gyms had just been able to open back up, but I was like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, what if they
Yeah,
get shut down in 2 months again because another outbreak or something, Like,
that's
so
true.
I was so scared and he pushed me, he wouldn't let me say no. So I'm so glad he didn't because it's been super successful.
That's terrific. That's
Yeah.
great that that worked out, especially with the uncertainty at that time. And yeah, that
Yeah.
was, yeah. No, that's really good. I'm glad to hear that. I was
Thank you.
curious, does Nate compete too? Or he seems like he's got a lot of
So
muscle.
actually he's been competing for longer than I have, but his last show was in 2015 at Masters Nationals.
Oh yeah.
He hasn't competed in that long, but he still lives the lifestyle.
Oh
He
yeah.
still he still trains like he just competes, and he's still his diet, I will say, is a little bit more lax. Like he likes his snacks now. But like during the week he's super good. It's just on the weekends he likes to eat whatever. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he definitely still lives the lifestyle though. So yeah. I mean in his head I still think he's got one left in him. His job though, his schedule is kind of very hectic, crazy. Like even this week, like he wasn't supposed to be working 12 hours for the years now. So it's like
Oh,
it's kind of like his schedule is very crazy. So if he were to start a prep, it's like he wouldn't be able to do it with his job. Like because sometimes he can't get the meal in. Like the meal timing would be very hard for him and stuff. So
yeah, I
um
understand.
so he doesn't want to commit to that until he knows he for sure can.
So he's like Bart Simpson working at the nuclear power
Yeah,
plant.
yeah.
No, just teasing.
That's hilarious. Yeah, yeah.
I'm just
That's
teasing.
funny. That's funny.
Um, Now you met earlier, you mentioned your mom and I was curious if your parents are supportive of your bodybuilding efforts.
Hmm. So from day one, they both were. They thought I was nuts, and they honestly thought it was a phase. But my mom has only missed like a handful of shows throughout the 19 years.
Wow.
My dad unfortunately passed away on Christmas in 2021. We
Oh,
lost him
okay.
to COVID.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. My whole family had gotten it. Nate and I were here in Michigan. We had it. My sister and my niece and nephew, and my brother-in-law were in Pennsylvania. They had gotten it at the same time, and then my mom and dad ended up catching it at the same time. My dad caught it first, and he was just a very stubborn man. Said he was feeling better, and he just kept getting worse because he hated doctors. And finally, my mom was like, you guys, I'm calling an ambulance because he's not getting better and his fingers are like purple. So by the time they got him to the
Wow.
hospital, his
Mm,
oxygen was just in the tank. They had to put him on a ventilator and he developed holes around his lungs,
mm,
or in his lungs, and the air was like escaping out. And that's kind of what made him pass because he didn't want to be put on the ventilator. And we asked him just to fight, and we told him we would know when to take him off. And then when we found out when they did the scan and they told us that those holes had developed in his lungs, that's
mm.
when we knew just to take him off the ventilator. And it was minutes after that that he ended up passing.
Wow.
Um,
Hmm.
And it was like 2 days before that, my gram, who was 95, my mom's mom, was in the same hospital. She passed away from it too. Like it was just a
Really?
crazy time. It was a crazy, crazy time. Because we had all had it. So it was like my
Hmm.
mom had gotten released from the hospital because she ended up in the hospital with it. She got sent home, but like her quarantine was supposed to be like 20 days, the doctor said. So she couldn't even go to her own mother's like funeral.
Hmm.
We couldn't go because we had it. It was just, it was a mess. And
Sorry.
people thought I was nuts because I started my prep for 2022 like right after that, but that is literally how I coped with my grief. Um,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
I needed that to take my mind off of everything, I think. And it's just crazy because then 2022 ended up being my most successful year as a competitor up until this year, obviously. But
Yeah.
it was just weird how everything worked out like that.
Mhm. I understand.
But yeah, he was very supportive. Like, I can still just see him how happy he'd be to see me now. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm so sorry that you lost him. And that whole COVID time was just such a devastating time. It just was so many people dying from it. And it was such a, yeah. I don't know if people took it seriously, it just because it,
No, and he was a very not that he was a conspiracy theorist like really bad, like he wasn't like a
yeah.
flat earther guy, but like but he had he was like, they'll make more money if I die from COVID. Like, that's just how he was. He was just this, he
Hmm.
hated hospitals anyway. He's just a very stubborn man. And,
Yeah, I understand.
so it was just crazy how we all got it at the same time and we didn't even live in the same state. Like my sister was in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. We were here, they were there. It was just nuts. It was just
Hmm.
a weird, strange time. And then everything that happened was just nuts. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was spreading so fast. It was, yeah, it just was devastating. And
Hmm.
so, no,
But
I'm sorry
yeah,
about that though. Yeah.
thank you. It's okay. I mean, like, I just I just know that he'd be super proud of me right now,
Oh yeah.
to
Oh, I'm
see.
sure it would be definitely.
And
Um,
I love that my mom was able to be there for this. Like
yeah. Oh
she
yeah.
was there with me to witness it and just amazing. She was over the moon about it. So yeah,
I
it
bet
was
that
pretty
was so
cool.
awesome for her. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. I'm glad that she could be there for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great that she's come to your shows too, because I've talked to folks or ladies whose parents are not supportive, and you can tell it's a little heartbreaking for them too, because
Oh
it's
my gosh, yeah. Like, and like, I don't even know like where I'd be if they weren't. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like I
Hmm.
didn't meet Nate till after I started and like they were there for me like in the beginning,
Hmm.
even my sister. So like, yeah, that's gotta be rough. That's tough. That's really tough.
I have a teen daughter though, and I do think about that. Like, what if she was up on stage in a bikini? I don't know. I don't know if I'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Well, well, I'll never forget my first show too. It was in Illinois. Um, it was called the Midwest Iron Man back then, but my dad, they sold alcohol and he had to like get drunk because he couldn't stand to look at the guys in the posing trunks. He was like, why do I gotta look at these guys in these posing trunks? So he was like drunk by the end of the show and like bragging about me after the show was over. I'm like, Dad, oh my God, please do not have another beer because these people probably don't even drink and you're drunk right now. Because he like couldn't stand to watch the guys up there. Like it's so
yeah,
funny.
I
Like him
understand.
being a male, he didn't want to see the guys in these posing trunks. But like I feel like my mom sat next to a couple it was their daughter's pro debut in wellness, but it's like I feel like if I was a parent, like Nate wouldn't want to see his daughter in wellness or bikini, maybe. Like
Yeah,
the other divisions aren't so bad, but it's like bikini and wellness, I can see where it's a little awkward, like the posing. It's like,
it
would I
is.
want my dad to see that? I don't know if I would want my dad to see that.
I know it. I know exactly
It's
what you
like
mean. It
so
would be.
weird. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it
But
would be
yeah.
weird. Yeah, and those the bottoms on those suits of wellness bikini are
I
tiny too. It's
Well,
like
just like the posing alone too is a little, do you want your dad seeing that? I don't know.
I know. I'm
So
like,
he's probably glad, like, bikini and wellness weren't even around when I first started. So he's probably glad that that wasn't around because I mean, I probably would have, I was never that small to begin with, but
Oh man. I probably should just ask one more question because, like I said, I have another interview coming up. I got
Yeah,
Alex
sorry.
also.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, it's great. No, I
Tell her
love the
I said
interview.
hi too, by the way.
Oh, I will. Yeah, definitely. I want to, before I forget to, I got to give a shout out to the Bad Rap ladies.
Oh
So
yeah, I
I
know.
think it's
I
coming
saw.
up.
I didn't know what that was until the Triple O.
Oh
Like
yeah.
until I saw that they were a sponsor, and then I looked it up and went to their page, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the ladies are really cool and they're they're giving back, by sponsoring and helping with travel costs and other costs for some of the competitors. So
Yeah, which is
um,
so cool.
yeah. I got to give a shout out to George Page too, because you had an interview with him earlier, I think.
Mhm, I did. Yeah,
Very cool.
I
I got to watch
posted that
that.
on my Instagram too. Yeah,
Oh, did
yeah.
you? Cool. Yeah, I
Hmm.
got to give a
Yeah.
shout out to him. And but yeah, my last question is just I was curious if you ever find yourself like the target of fit shaming, because I was kind of amazed that bodybuilders have to kind of go through that because y'all look so amazing. You should be celebrated, but you ever find
Right,
yourself
but
feeling
no.
that?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like, um, I was just talking to George about this, but in the beginning, like when it first started happening to me, I think that I did take offense to it, and it might have bothered me a little bit. At this point in my life, though, like
Hmm.
I don't even I don't even give them a second of my time. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. I think Instagram like hides those comments now though, like
Oh yeah, good.
automatically if something is said that's bad. I've noticed that. Like it'll say hidden messages and then I check it and they're all like nasty comments. Like
Oh, so maybe
I don't know
yeah,
how they know because it's not like I said anything on my Instagram, but I don't know if it's happening to anyone else like that or not. But anyways, because now you can't even see them on a thread. But I don't even care if they do post them. Like go ahead and post them because you're wasting your listen. It's your time. You're wasting your own time by commenting on something that I don't even get. I could care less what your opinion is. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I do this for me. I do it for the love of the game. Like I don't care what you think. Like
yeah,
um so yeah, in the beginning, sure, I think it did bother me a little bit, but like I'm secure in who I am. You know what I mean? Like this is how I want to look. I don't care what you think,
yeah.
like and I don't get that in person ever. Like
Okay.
in the gym setting, I've never had anybody. I mean, if they do, it's behind my back and I don't know about it, but I've never
Yeah,
had it in person. It's always been online. And that's the thing. Like, it's also that, like, who are you behind your keyboard computer screen? You know what I mean? Like, you don't even
yeah,
have a profile picture. Half of them don't even have profile pictures, or like the pictures aren't even a real picture of themselves. And it's probably because they're insecure about themselves that they have to shame other people to feel good about themselves. Like, yeah,
yeah,
it's very frustrating, and I feel bad for the people that it does actually affect because
yeah,
it can. I'm sure there's a lot of people who take take that to heart, and it bothers them. Like, and it shouldn't because it's like you don't even know these people. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Social media is like I have this love hate relationship with social media because of that. You know what I mean?
Um,
Um,
I think that's what trolls want to get a rise out of you, and that's their goal. So if you don't
yeah,
engage with them, then you're probably
right. Then
losing. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what they want. They want you to go back at them. And so, yeah, they want that attention too. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
exactly what it is. And it's like, that's just ignore them because then you're not satisfying them, you know?
exactly, and block them, delete them too. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's great. That's good advice too for people who do get upset about that. Just don't even let it.
I
Don't let it
know. Like,
bother you.
just block them right away. Right. Yeah. Like, who cares?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's
I
true.
mean, and that's
Yeah.
the thing too. Like, that's why you have to be happy with how you look. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be happy with doing that. Like, you have to watch like the muscle. Like
Hmm.
if you're not doing it for yourself, who are you doing it for? Really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and so as long as you're happy with how you look and you're doing it for you, and then you shouldn't be upset by people who are sitting behind a keyboard computer screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Would
Yes, thank you. I had so much fun.
Thank you. Would you mind doing a quick flex for me?
Oh, okay. Right. Is this one bicep, two
That's awesome. Oh, thank
bicep?
you. You look terrific. And
Thank you. you.
best wishes at the Olympia for you. I'll definitely be rooting for
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Probably on the
Thank
live
you.
stream. I don't think I'll make it to Vegas this year, but
That's okay. That's okay. We'll take the live stream sport.
yeah, it's going to be a great show. I know, and I'm sure, and it's going to be a thrill for you to be on that big stage. So,
I
best
know.
wishes to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll get this posted. It might be tomorrow, but I'll get this posted relatively soon, and we'll tag you and everything too.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave.
Thanks, Natalie.
All right. Have a good one.